Hello listeners. This is the reading of the Sabbath School lesson for the fourth and final quarter of 2022.
The series is titled On Death, Dying and the Future Hope. The author is Dr. Alberto Tim, while your readers are Percy and Sibylla Harrold. Welcome to lesson number 8, ready for teaching on November 19. It's titled The New Testament Hope, and I'm Percy Harrold. Thursday, November 17, The Everlasting Encounter. Read 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 51 to 55. What mystery, as expressed in verse 51, is Paul explaining? 1 Corinthians 15, beginning at verse 51. Behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible has put on incorruption, and this mortal has put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your sting? O Hades, where is your victory? Some popular preachers suggest that this mystery of 1 Corinthians 15:51 is the secret rapture of the church, which is to occur 7 years prior to Christ's glorious second coming. In this secret rapture, faithful Christians are suddenly, quietly and secretly whisked off to heaven, while everyone else remains here wondering what happened to them. People might suddenly find themselves in a driverless car because the driver was raptured to heaven and all that remains is their clothes. The 16-volume best-selling Left Behind series, turned into 4 movies, promoted this false teaching, exposing millions to it. Of course, no biblical passage endorses such an artificial distinction between the rapture and the second coming. The mystery Paul is referring to is simply the transformation of the living righteous to join the resurrected righteous at Christ's second coming. This is the rapture. There is no secret rapture because the second coming will be visible to all living human beings, and both the resurrection of the dead and the transformation of the living ones will occur at the sound of the trumpet at Christ's return, as we read in 1 Corinthians 15:51 and 52. But Revelation 1 verse 7 says, Behold, he is coming with clouds, and every eye will see him, even they who pierced him, and all the tribes of the earth will mourn because of him. Even so, Amen. Christ's second coming will bring about the most amazing encounter ever. The living righteous are changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, as we read in verse 52. At the voice of God, they are glorified. Now they are made immortal, and with the risen saints are caught up to meet their Lord in the air. Angels, as it says in Matthew 24:31, gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Little children, Ellen White says in The Great Controversy, page 645, are borne by holy angels to their mother's arms. Friends, long separated by death, are united, never more to part, and with songs of gladness ascend toward the city of God. End of quote. And so to finish today, this is such an amazing promise, something so different from anything that we have experienced that it's hard to grasp. But think about the vastness of the cosmos, as well as the incredible complexity of life here. Creation itself testifies to God's amazing power. What does all this teach us about the power of God to translate the living and raise the dead at Jesus' second coming? This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.